Hello, welcome back, my friends. It is Nat. I am playing with the Campfire Tales. This is the basics, and there's usually, that's gorgeous. There's usually they have the basics and have Campfire Tales. This one, they also have the Campfire patterns, which you'll see shortly. These papers are just lovely. They're a little bit muted. So this is the patterns. As you can see, they're full of gorgeous, patterns. But the colours are really beautiful, and I like playing with the embossed die cuts and the pattern paper because they all coincide. They all match together. This is the embossed die cuts. They are gorgeous. Embossed die cuts, if you do not know, if you're new to the channel, they have a little bit, you can sort of see them shine every now and then when they move. They have a little bit of embossing, sort of along the lines of like a glossy accent sort of type of thing. Just here and there. This is the Campfire Tales Quick Cards Collection. I am not really going to go through this. I'm going to show you the idea sheet. So it tells you what papers to use, and then you can just pick out the embellishments you want or go for something totally different. So I have a piece of cardstock here that it is measuring 8 1/4, 21 centimeters by 6 inches. We're going to score that along the long side at 3 inches. Turn that around and do the same thing on the short end and score it at 3 inches. Again, this card, if you've been with me for a little while, you know I quite like to do very, very simple little fun thoughts. I made this card long time ago. I forgot about it. So you have the square on the right-hand side, and you're going to mark at the top and bottom at 5 1/8. Okay, just a little mark. So you have the square on the left. Did I say one side? Squares on the left and the rectangle shapes on the right. Now we're going to go down to 3 3/4 and do a little notch on the center line. So it's going to form a little bit, when we join those up, it's going to form a little bit of a sort of banner type of thing. I've removed my scoring board. If you have some of those scoring tools that have the cutting blade and the scoring blade, you could do this easily. But basically you're matching up the two lines with a ruler. You need to come down a little bit from the line because your scoring tool, if your ruler is on the two marks, it's going to be a little bit too high. So just be aware of that. I have scored straight down the center with a mountain and the 3 inch on the other side with a mountain. And this, we're just going to ease it in to form a valley. So valleys go away from you, mountains come up towards you. Ease that in, and then your card will just fold in nicely. So it's a smaller card. It's on the smaller side. We're actually going to do 2. I have done it in landscape version. First card we're going to do is just portrait, that's the word. Portrait side card. I have cut this at 11 centimeters or 4 5/16 by 7 centimeters or 2 3/4, and I've put it on my card in the rectangle sort of thing, and I've just measured, I've eyeballed it. So those measurements should be that your very top left hand corner is going to be a little bit short, so it should give you a border the whole way around it. And then I've just eyeballed it and given another little notch, so that's going to give me a nice little border the whole way around. The next is the squares. They are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 or 7 centimeters by 7 centimeters. I have cut these are sort of joining. You'll see it a little bit later on because at this point I haven't decided I'm going to do the back, but when you open it up, that falls down. So that's what I decided in the end. For my little die cuts, this card is really simple. I say that a lot, but it's a small card. It's 4 score lines. It's just easy. My little mountains are going to be glued down flat. And I am actually going to go in with some Copics. I do like to ground my images, but I'm not going to do the whole lot. So my mountains, I'm going to have W5, W3 and W1. And I'm actually going to, so that's W5. I'm going to bring it down a little bit lower and also go up a tiny bit over that line, because there's a white line underneath the embossed die cut. Okay, and then there is a softer, like a yellowy tone. So the W1 over the whole thing, going up over the embellishment, is going to blend that in a bit more. You're not going to see an awful lot of it, but it's all good. My lantern has 1 layer of foam. My little shoes there are double, so they're a little bit raised higher again. My sentiment is from the Happy Birthday sentiment sheet, and they are all foil. So you've got, well, they're not actually all foil because there's black with white writing. There are some varieties, but they do have foil sheets of gold, rose gold, and I'm having brain fog. I'm pretty 99% sure there's silver in there as well. If my voice sounds a little bit strange, I've actually had I had a cold, chest infection, and then I get 10 ton of asthma, and it's kicking my butt. And it's also very windy today, so the hay fever is going full pelt. So I do apologise. I'm actually having surgery next week for deviated septum, so hopefully that will help with some of those problems that I get. But in the meantime, it's not too bad, but I have a little bit of a weird voice, especially once the asthma keeps going. Anyway, anywho, enough about me. Moving on. Let's get over it. I have the clear crystal mix, and the bottom is a little bit bare. So we have this cute little squirrel, because I love it. I was in America 3 years ago. About 3 years ago now, I think it was. And every time I saw a squirrel, I sort of squealed a little bit, and people would turn around and I'm like, sorry, Australian, we don't have them. Sorry. Oops. I also have a couple of clear crystal mix on there. So the bottom is rather a bit plain. This is where I decided that my other half needed to be glued down, and I'm just matching the patterns so they sort of flow a little bit. It's just going to be plain. I'm not going to do anything on the back of it. It is just going to be plain, but you do see it. Of course, when you open up the card, it is going to be sort of a wonky shape, but I can live with it. Landscape. Now, this is my favorite one. I'm just going to show you shortly here. This card base is actually a bee's knees wider, like taller than when you open it up, and then Australian card base. So you can probably play around with it and just be able to use Australian card base. American peeps have a little bit of a different card base, as we've talked about previously, but it's not too, if you use a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock, then you're obviously going to get 2 out of it with a little bit left over. So here we go. So there's a tiny bit up the top, and it's pretty much dead set on the left and right of the landscape, but it's just a little bit taller, probably, I don't know, I wouldn't even say a quarter of an inch, I'd say an eighth of an inch bigger. So it's probably very, very easy to alter that. When you're decorating the card, the only problem is that it does want to open up. Open up really easily, but, you know, we'll move with it. We'll deal with it. I kept on putting this around the wrong way. So we're going to fix it. I actually, full disclosure, I actually removed it about 2 times before I sort of figured out that it was on the right one. This area, you can just write in your card. I like it in the landscape because even though you don't have a flat surface, it sits up nicely. It's just a bit more interesting to me. You know, that's my theory behind it all. I have all my die cuts with varying depths of foam on a little bit of release paper. This is just, in Australia, we get really wide, a lot of people call it the toilet paper. Actually, they tend to say it's something else, but we will be nice. And it's not rude. It's just very colloquial. We have this toilet paper. We have this double-sided tape that is basically the size of a toilet paper. So I've used that and I've just kept it at some point to stick on my foam. So I have my puppy. He is raised up with double. My little marshmallow on a stick, the marshmallow is raised up with one little foam square. And his stick is glued on flat. I'm just going to fight with this. It needed something down this corner. And my sentiment. And apart from a little bit of stickles and bling on this card, so they're pretty much quite the same, except I wanted to show you the difference between how it looks between a landscape version and a portrait. I've seen a few people do the portrait recently and I went, no, I'm going to do both, but I actually quite like the portrait, which I did way too many years ago, a long, long time ago, which I've completely forgot about this card. So I have no idea who sort of came up with this card in the very, very first place, because it's literally been around for, probably for me, probably a good 15 years. This is probably the first time I actually did this card or this format of the card. So yeah, I have no idea. But that's that little card. So I've got a little bit of stardust stickles on the fire, my little puppy dog's bandana, and a little bit on the tree. This one has a little bit of flower and a little bit of floral arrangement on the outside. And my squirrel had to have a glittery tail, because if you ever seen a squirrel's butt from a distance with the sun coming through it, it's quite beautiful. That is my two cards today. Both sentiments are from the same set. I will leave links down below to everything. And that's it. I hope you're well. If you try this card, let us know. Tag me. I'm Natalie Perry Walsh on Instagram. Take care.